up too much at the end.
So we just stop it. What do you do in the spacebar?
You go to infinity.
That were two of Michael Jackson's closest work colleagues, Lavelle Smith and Michael Prince. I've got to ask you a difficult question, because I know how close you were to it. Where were you both? I'll start with you, Lavelle, when you heard that Michael had died.
I was at home in my bedroom watching CNN, and I heard Michael Jackson went to the hospital with a heart attack. And I thought, okay. I kept watching, and it kept getting worse and worse. And I just thought, okay, this either is a really bad publicity stunt or something's desperately wrong.
And you knew that Michael, you know, he could do publicity
Of course, he's a showman.
I mean, he'd been in wheelchairs before
right.
to create an impression that he was somehow in a terrible state. And then the next, because he always had this thing of make the public go low in expectation and then dazzle them with the high. This was
P.T. Barnum, that's what you do. It's the showman, you build it.
So part of you's thinking, is this another Michael stunt?
Yeah, and I really was hoping for that, and I kept hoping. And then it got worse, and then when they finally said dead, of course, even that I didn't believe until it stayed there.
You saw that on CNN?
It came, it all went up from heart attack to something, and then dead. And I was like, okay, just wait a few more minutes, we'll go home. Then it didn't go away, and I thought, this is really crazy. I called his assistant, and she said, well, it's a madhouse around here. And I thought, okay, this is a real deal. And I just went numb. I remember being numb for days and days, just numb. I couldn't cry. I think anger, just every emotion except I couldn't cry. I didn't cry until I did the TV shows with Jermaine in London, Move Like Michael Jackson, and I was doing a little outtake, like how you do for your show, reading something that said, Michael Jackson was, and I kept saying, Michael Jackson is, and they're like, you have to say was. I said, got it this time. Michael Jackson is, and finally when I got was, it was over. It was over.
And for you,
I was at the Staples Center. I was getting ready for that day's rehearsal. I had a list of changes to do from the night before, instructions from Michael. And when they said that, the first thing I thought was, he wants 2 more weeks to rehearse. You know, and then when they finally announced that he was DEAD, I went back to my computer. I made all the changes from the night before because I was stunned. I said, well, no, he might come back, you know. And later that day, I finally had to ask somebody what to do, and they said, pack your stuff up, you know. And it was dreadful. And for anything, I feel for his children. You know, he was the greatest dad in the world. Those were the loves of his life, you know. And
they are extraordinary children. When I saw them in public recently at the concert and so on, I mean, they have remarkable confidence, and I guess you might expect it from Michael's kids.
They were brought up so well, with so much love. They read a lot.
Discipline.
A lot, you know.
It's amazing.
Well-spoken, beautiful children. And I just want them to know how much, you know, he loved them, and I saw the love that they had for him. And he and I talked about that in his dressing room, you know, about when we get to the UK and when this 7-day-a-week thing is done, you're going to be with your family, you know, again, and have a lot more quality time with them.
What do you guys make of the trial? Did you know Conrad Murray? Did you see him much?
No, not at all.
So all this was sort of brand new to you?
Yeah, right. To me, it's simple.
Does it seem like a weird other world?
It does. It does. It's a world that I'm forced, I don't know why, but I'm drawn to. I have to have the information. And the stuff that I'm hearing is out of this world. Out of this world. To me, it's really about a legend, a doctor, and something going horribly wrong that I feel like none of us will really ever get to the bottom of. There's more that
my gut feeling is, I mean, Michael Jackson's not going to want to kill himself. There's no evidence he was in any kind of suicidal
loves his kids, loves his
mood.
family.
He was enjoying the preparation. He was enjoying being a father and so on. And just from everyone I've talked to about Conrad Murray, he didn't want to kill Michael Jackson. So you're left with a terrible accident. And then you're left with the technicalities of how this happened and who did what, so which we may never know the answers to.
I feel that's sad. We may never know.
But was it a shock to you when the tapes were played? I mean, I was staggered.
I had no words.
When I first heard that, I said, this can't be Michael Jackson.
But I know that voice for over 23 years. I knew that was him, but I didn't know why it existed. Why did that tape exist?
Had either of you ever heard him speak like this?
Never. And honestly, I told LaBelle this. I said, I think the doctor might have made that to show Michael, maybe the next day, Michael, you did fall asleep. Because Michael might have said, I didn't fall asleep, you know? But no, I mean, and I would have never made that recording.
I mean, who knows what he could have done with it later. That's the only...
That's sort of weird.
It's weird, but it happens. Things happen that way.
I mean, Michael's whole life was a bit crazy in the sense of people around him and the circus element. And, you know, I just felt the whole thing just unraveled in a very, very strange way. And we'll probably never know what really happened.
Yeah, I don't think so. I hope we get to it. But one thing I know is important is that what Michael taught me, all the dance and all that stuff, will live on because his goal was to take dance and continue to take dance to higher and higher levels.
Yeah, there were lots of sort of theories about what Michael was planning to do. What was he planning to do?
Well, we were going to do short films. You know, Michael loved the short film. We were working on a cowboy film.
Legs Diamond.
Legs Diamond.
You want to do like a modern musical on the life of Legs Diamond because Michael already had some gangsterish songs like Smooth Criminal.
Dangerous Smooth Criminal.
And he also wanted to release singles sort of every few months.
That was unique.
And at the end of that, have an amazing album.
Yeah.
Which would be a very unusual way of doing it.
Right, and that way you don't get compared to Thriller every time you put out an album. So he was going to do it while we were on tour, maybe a single every 8 weeks, and then once you had 10 out, you had 2 new songs, and you have a record. He also wanted to do a children's album, because he loved to write these, you know, beautiful, innocent songs for children. And he wanted to do a classical album, because he had a lot of melodies that he didn't want to write words to.
How good was Michael Jackson as an entertainer?
The best.
I mean, let's talk voice first of all, his voice. How good a singer was he?
Amazing. I mean, he could go from a ballad, a soft song, to, he had one of the best rock voices. I mean, I would compare it to, you know, somebody like not like Led Zeppelin, but I mean, he could sing rock and roll like you wouldn't believe, you know? I always wanted to like get him on some really hard rock stuff, you know.
And dance-wise, mesmerized.
Just top of the line, you know.
You ever seen a better dancer?
A better natural dancer, not in my life so far, ever. I mean, I was a trained ballet dancer, and we would share. He would teach me because his stuff was always so strange to me. But once we started sharing, I'd share ballet moves or technical things, and he'd share his stuff, and that's where our bond came from. It's just a sharing of dance and a love of dance. You know?
How do you think, finally, Michael would like to be remembered?
I think he'd like to be remembered as someone that was always, you know, making sure that what he delivered to his fans and to his audience was original, it was innovative, and he didn't mind if people copied it, but he always wanted to be the one that did it first.
Michael, did you say that?
I was going to agree with that and say that anything he wanted to do, he wanted it to be the best. He wanted himself to be the best, every dancer behind him, every musician, down to the lighting, down to whoever was running what, you know, piece of equipment. They had to be the best.
Everything had choreography. I love when you use that word. The cameras have choreography. The lights have choreography. That's the kind of stuff he taught me, and that's what
he was remarkable. And to me, he achieved that. He was the best. He was the best entertainer I had.
He really was.
LaBelle, Michael, thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure meeting you.
It's been my pleasure. My pleasure.